And I know obviously you're well known as a comedian and an actor, but I know you're an activist as well, and I was wondering if you could talk us through any sort of political projects that you're involved in at the moment and why you think they're important.
I'm kind of freelance on the left. I've made a decision years ago not to be a member of anything, so I support different things as they come up and try to be as non-sectarian as possible. I used to organise a lot of benefits, but it takes up a huge amount of your time. I'm quite involved in the Palestine issue because I went to make a documentary there 10, 11 years ago, and so I support a lot of Palestinian initiatives and events, and the Palestine Film Festival, Medical Aid for Palestinians, so I'm involved in supporting those things. I'm also involved in the world of documentary. I go to the Sheffield Documentary Festival every year, and I tour and I do gigs, what I've always done. I've been doing this for 30 years. I started when it was the miners' strike, and things are probably worse now than they were then, because at least we thought we might win. The left thought we might win at that time. But there's exciting things happening, I think. You know, the left has become much more diverse and interesting, I think, and as it's fragmented, there's a sort of almost, I hope, as it's fragmented, there'll be more room for various different ideas and discussion, and because I think the Occupy movement are interesting, quite fond of the anarchists. I think there's a lot of interesting discussion going on there, and I think everyone knows that capitalism has failed. It's just a question of what to do instead. So I think it's quite interesting times politically.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I think there's a real sense that that groups are disintegrating, groups are rebuilding, and there's very much a kind of reconvergence, and people are sort of discussing what it means to even be working class in the 21st century. I know obviously the BBC and these sorts of things have been putting out the new survey about what class are you really in, these sorts of things. I mean, do you have any sort of thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, like you say, you were quite active around the miners' strike. But do you think what the definition of working class has changed in that time?
I think people don't bash metal anymore. They work in shops and call centres and they sell coffee, and they're not unionised, which is a big problem. The unions are really struggling, and they're trying to get people to join unions. My daughter works in a hotel restaurant as a pastry cook. She's not in a union. People are scared to join unions now. I think it's very important that they are in unions. That's something I feel very passionately about. And I think the unions are starting to revive, which is important. And definitions of class are different now because, most people now sell their labour, and most middle class people are very insecure in their workplace. They don't know if they're going to still have a job at Christmas. People are contractors, they're on short-term contracts. The BBC, where I do a lot of work, people used to have jobs as drivers, as makeup artists, as wardrobe people, as props makers. They're all on short-term contracts, they're all self-employed now. So I think the issues around employment, issues around class are quite different. And I think there's a greater empathy. More people say that they're working class because they feel powerless. They realise that even if you've earned quite a lot of money, or even if you've maybe been self-employed or you're white collar, that actually you don't really have any power. Even if you're a manager, you might lose your job. So I think it's quite an interesting time, and I think a lot of people don't like capitalism anymore. A lot of quite conservative people don't really like capitalism anymore because in their minds, it's all about hard work and thrift and decent people working hard and saving up and standing on their own 2 feet, and that people do that and they still get fucked. So I think it's quite an interesting time, and I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily say that they're socialists, but they wouldn't say that they support capitalism. They're looking for different ways of expressing that, So I do think it's quite an exciting time intellectually on the left, I reckon. But I'm 52. What do I know? It's time for us to hand over to the young anarchists because we've made a bollocks of it. Us old guys,
I'm sure that's not true.
You fucking have. Look around you.
I would say thank you for that. That's
Pleasure.
really
I'm sorry I missed your whole set because I've been doing it.